In order for the Trump administration to accomplish mass deportation, the administration is going to have to take an all hands on deck approach. Hello, everyone. This is Andre McKinney Dorval. Before we dive into the subject of this video, I hope everyone is doing well. I also hope that everyone is taking care of their mental health. Seemingly, each time you turn on the news or open up social media, there's something new that the administration is putting out, especially with regards to immigration. As you know, on this channel, we discuss everything that affects immigration and immigration matters. Now, let's dive into the topic of the video. First off, the Trump administration seemingly is calling on IRS agents to serve as or complement as ICE agents in the enforcement of this immigration, deportation, and crackdown, whether it's on immigrants or employers who hire undocumented immigrants. I want to share a tidbit of an article that is making the report. Now, we all know that the Department of Homeland Security Secretary is Kristi Noem, and it is being reported that Secretary Noem signed a letter sending it to President Trump asking or directing that her agency, DHS, be able to take all appropriate actions to supplement available personnel to secure the southern border and to enforce immigration laws of the U.S., even through the use of the agency's authority to deputize federal employees to perform immigration functions. Now, a few weeks or days ago, President Donald Trump did issue a memo that all federal employees who were working from home would have to return back to the office. Some of those federal employees included IRS employees. So in the letter, Secretary Noem goes on to state that it is DHS's understanding that the Department of Treasury has qualified law enforcement personnel available to assist with immigration enforcement, especially in light of recent increases to the Internal Revenue Services workforce and budget. Now, guys, I think we all know that immigration officers are not the same as IRS agents, but according to the letter that Ms. Noem sent to the president, she informed that the agency, her agency, ICE, needs IRS agents to assist and serve on interagency task force to help build complex cases that blend tax, immigration, and money laundering charges. Now, as of right now, it's not clear how far and wide immigration, or I should say IRS agents, will help in the enforcement when it comes to immigration matters that don't have anything to do with the tax code or tax violations. So how it would affect individuals personally versus employers who employ or in violation of U.S. immigration laws by employing immigrants who don't have work permit remains to be seen. But what we can glean from all of this is that the federal government, even though it may have a budget of trillions and trillions of dollars, resources are limited. And so calling on available agents in other departments is clearly a all hands on deck approach. Now, I want to switch gears and I want to talk about the next subject of this video, which pertains to the state of Florida. The state of Florida appears to be the first state to enter into a DHS Memorandum of Understanding with the Department of Homeland Security. This means that ICE will be deputizing Florida Highway Patrol officers to assist in immigration enforcement. You can almost think of it as Florida Highway Patrol officers or law enforcement officers within the state of Florida will now be many ICE agents. Now, we previously talked about in other videos components about the 287G program, which is a provision in the Immigration Nationality Act that allows DHS and local law enforcement to enter into agreements where local law enforcement helps assist DHS and ICE in their immigration efforts. So you might be wondering, what's the difference between what they're currently doing and being deputized? Well, that's a very good question. Let's talk about it. Now, being deputized will now mean that FHP troopers and Florida Department of Law Enforcement officers will now have the power to do the following: interrogate people suspected of being in the country illegally. They'll also be able to arrest and detain people at ports of entry and coastal waterways in Florida. And they will be able to execute, warrants and make arrests and transport people to ICE detention facilities. Now, it is being reported that FHP law enforcement and FDLE law enforcement will be trained for these duties, but there are certainly concerns. Traditional policing does not include immigration policing, if you will. And so there are going to be concerns over, for starters, immigrants' data and other information that law enforcement, traditional law enforcement, would otherwise not have information or access to. So this is going to be a shared effort. And so it goes back to the original statement that I made at the start of this video. In order for this new administration to effectuate mass deportation to the scale and degree that the president has announced, he's going to have to use an all hands deck approach. But ask yourself, because I'm asking the same question: how long will this entail? The current president has over 1,400 days remaining in office. And so the sustainability in terms of all of the additional efforts certainly are going to raise questions as far as how effective will this be? Again, traditional law enforcement officers are not per se trained immigration ICE officers. So there are going to be some concerns with regards to whether this new deputization will in fact be effective, or whether or not certain rights of individuals may be not accorded due process. So what should you be doing if you are an immigrant, whether you're living in Florida or in another state? Because Florida is seemingly taking the lead. The governor and lawmakers are clear about that. So if you are someone that this raises potential concern, what I want you to consider is that I did a video, maybe 3 or 4 videos back, where it was entitled, "Driving is the easiest way to come into contact with law enforcement." So a state like Florida, which is now entered into a MOU with ICE, the easiest way to come into contact with immigrants or citizens or anyone is by driving. And so one bad traffic stop, and by that I mean it could be something as simple as, you being stopped for a tail light or a tag light, or not coming to a complete stop at a stop sign. This is an encounter with law enforcement. And so there are some concerns, because if you are someone without status and you don't have a driver's license, you should not be driving. But these are all things that would definitely come into play in fruition now that Florida has a memorandum of understanding working with ICE, where law enforcement in Florida will be deputized and they will act as many ICE agents. So a few takeaways. We reported in a prior video, May 7th is the deadline for everyone to have either a driver's license or ID card be Real ID compliant. Be sure you check out the video. We share a resource with the link, regardless if you're in the state of Florida or not, where you can click on your particular state to determine what your state requires for you to have a Real ID compliant driver's license or ID card. In the meantime, if you are someone who cannot obtain a driver's license, do not drive. Guys, this video was to update you on what's going on in Florida and also to bring attention that the Trump administration is now looking to deputize IRS agents. As usual, I do thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe for more, like and share, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.